Hello, this is Dr. Morris Duffy, and I'm thrilled. I'm excited to be here with one of my heroes, Stephen Miller, Paralympian, champion, gold medal winner, all-round good guy, fantastic human being. Stephen, hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's really good to be here. Thank
Good. So, thank you for joining me. People are going to know you in the Northeast, especially, but know you right across the UK. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, so that others can find out about you.
Yeah, so yeah, like you say, I'm a Paralympic athlete. I do athletics. My my event is called the Club Throw, and it's equivalent to the javelin for my disability class. And I've been competing for a long time now, so I've been to six Paralympic Games. My first being in Atlanta in 1996, where I won, I won gold and became the youngest ever track and field gold medalist for Great Britain. And since then, um, yeah, I've just really had a great career. Um, Won six Paralympic medals. I had the world record for the club for 9 years, and I was I was hoping to compete in Tokyo this year, but that'll have to wait till next year.
Okay. And Stephen, obviously, I know you. So, what is, so for people listening, what is the disability that you suffer from? And, how long have you suffered from it?
Yeah, well, I don't tend to use the phrase suffer from because I kind of, the way I describe it is I have a condition which is
Okay.
called cerebral palsy, and I had it from birth. So when I was born, my head got a bit bashed on the way out, so I got a little bit of brain damage that causes a bit of confusion in my brain, and it affects my balance and coordination. And so, this makes things, movements a little bit more difficult. But
Mhm.
to be honest, like, because I've had this condition from birth, it's it's my normal. That's how I like to say. I don't know any different, so this is who I am, and
Mm,
I'm very comfortable with that. It's a
mm.
condition that it's not going to get worse, so I can look at it for a
Yeah.
long time.
And I have heard you obviously describe it many times. And, I often say there's no disability in life, only a bad attitude. But, the condition that you suffer, that you live with, the condition that you live with on a daily basis, it's extraordinary what you have achieved. What age were you when you went first to the Olympics?
Yeah, so my first Olympics, I was just over 16 years old. So,
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
I was the youngest member of the team. So, yeah, it was a great experience and something that I'll never forget.
And at 16, which Olympics was it again?
It was Atlanta in 1996.
And how did that feel?
Yeah, I mean, didn't really expect to go to the games. I was so young, so when I got selected, it was quite a little bit of a surprise, and it was quite scary to think about going
Mm,
away without my parents. I'd never been anywhere without my parents before, really.
mm,
So to fly all the way to America with a team was quite a daunting experience, but I kind of I'm really glad I did it because it helped me to be more independent. It helped me with my confidence in life, and I had a lot of great teammates and a lot of great coaches who helped me to cope with the experience.
And I have obviously seen you, playing your sport, and it's just extraordinary, right? Absolutely extraordinary. What kind of training does that involve? What does it mean you have to do? And I was talking to Chris Cook. I don't know whether you know Chris or not, the swimmer from South Shields.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about your working out in the gym. He had seen you working out in the gym. He was impressed as an athlete, and as a non-athlete, I was very impressed. So what kind of conditioning do you need to do? What kind of exercise routine do you follow?
Yeah, I know Chris really well because we used to train together at Gateshead at the AIS. So well, I do a sport which is very physically demanding, and being a thrower, you have to be very strong, you have to be very flexible, and you have to have a lot of explosive power to generate the kind of speed that you need. When it comes to throwing, it's all about technique and speed, and the faster you can release the club, the further it's going to go, basically, if you get it in the right direction. So, I mean, the training I do is all based around maximizing the speed that I can move my body at. So it's all about, I do a lot of work in the gym to work on just increasing strength and mobility. But a lot of the work is to make the body strong enough to cope with the force that you're going to put through it. So, it's a lot of stability work on the core. Your core has to be very strong to cope with what's going to go through it. So I do a lot of core work on my lower back, my legs. So even though I throw sitting down, I still have to have strong legs and a strong core. So it's very much working the whole body and getting the whole body in balance. So, and I've done pretty much the same kind of training over the last 20 years. So, it works for me.
Yeah, I'm nodding in agreement when you're describing it, but that is I've seen the way that you move your body and the kind of contortions you have to go through. It's absolutely extraordinary, and if anybody should get the opportunity, they should look at you on YouTube channels or online, because it is absolutely extraordinary. How do you keep going, Stephen? You've been there since 16. And that was Atlanta. That was 1996. You're now looking forward to Tokyo next year. How do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, I think I'm very good at moving on from success and finding new goals to aim for. So I think it's very important that when you have success, you celebrate it. But then you kind of put it behind you and look towards the next goal, and that's what I've always tried to do throughout my career, is always try to to look forward really and think, what do I want to achieve next? And then that's what I'm doing now, and I think it's very important in all aspects of life. You don't kind of get stuck in the past, or you don't think too much about what you what you've achieved, but you kind of like you keep looking forward, and I think that's what I like to do in my life, and is what I think kind of as long as my body is willing and is able, I'll have the right mindset to be able to keep going because of those values that I have in terms of goal setting and being able to move on from success.
And your mindset is, you know, the resilience, the tenacity, you know, the willingness to keep going is absolutely extraordinary, and it's you know, it's a real example to other people on what you can achieve and, you know, what is available to you. You know, how are you managing isolation and lockdown now? How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's very strange. I think most people will agree that it's not something that we'll ever experience in our lifetime. So it's very different not being able to go out and do the things that you would normally do. I think it's just trying to adjust to a new reality. So I think that's what I've been trying to do over the last few months is trying to process what's happening and trying to accept it and understand what it means to me in my life. I think what's helped me is I'm very much somebody who looks at what I can control in life, and I try not to get too worried about all the things that are outside of my control. So that's what I've been trying to focus on, kind of what I can control, and what kind of things I can do to make the most of this time.
Yeah. That's obviously a very good attitude in looking at what you can control and controlling those things that you can control, and, you know, living in the present and living in the now, and you know, not living too far in the future, living too far in the past. Those are extraordinary things. So, you know, as a sporting icon, as a hero to many people, who are the people that you admire? Who would be, you know, your sporting hero? Who would be the person that you would admire most?
Well, I always say the person who inspired me to try and be a Paralympian, to try and be the best I could be, I guess, would be Linford Christie. I remember I was very young when I watched the Barcelona Olympics in 1992, and I watched Linford Christie win the gold medal against all the Americans, and that really inspired me, and really made me think that I would love to represent my country and love to get to the top in sport. And kind of now, I guess the person I look up to now the most is Roger Federer. I think Roger Federer for me is probably the best athlete that's ever lived in terms of what he can do and the talent he's got, but also the mindset that he has, that he can stay so calm under pressure. and he also seems like a really nice guy off the court. I think for me, that's even more important. When I look towards people, I need to know that they're not, they don't just want to win, they want to win in the right way and respect their opponents and respect the sport. I think that's really important.
And what would you say, Stephen, to a lot of people that I work with right now, they're struggling with mental, their mental health. They're feeling isolated, they're feeling lonely, they're feeling, when will this end?
Yeah.
What would you say to any of those individuals about, the way that they should look at life?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in positive thinking, and I think throughout my life, um, I've been instilled, I've been instilled with a positive attitude. I think it's really unbelievable how the way you think can affect how you feel. It can affect what you do. And I think, the more you can think positively about anything in your life, you'll find that things will change the way you feel. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more optimistic. You're going to have more energy, more motivation if you just try and think positively about more aspects of your life. And it sounds like a really simple thing to say, but if you do it on a consistent basis, it really does make a big difference. Just that one thing of like trying to look at everything in a positive way and trying to see the opportunities, even in the worst times. Like we're going through a bad time now, but even in this time, there's still opportunities to do things, to get better, to grow as a person, and you just have to look at things in the right way.
Yeah, every time I talk to you, you inspire me. And it's absolutely extraordinary. I talk about you quite a lot. Since we had that meeting in the hotel,
Yeah.
because I came away from that meeting thinking, what an extraordinary individual you actually are. What an icon you are to so many people and to me. The inspiration, your positivity, the mindset, the resilience, what you have achieved is, that's just unbelievable. So it's just fantastic. And I would love lots and lots of other people to get to hear you, because I think you have so much to say, and you have such a compelling story. And it's not just a story, it's such a compelling life. So in all of this, what do you do to relax?
I kind of I like to write. I like to write. I like to read. I like to play chess. I'm trying to use this time to get better at chess, which is not easy to do. But yeah, I like to watch TV. And then spend time with. I'm getting to spend a lot more time with my wife, because me and my wife we both work very hard, and we both struggle a lot. So we're actually over the last few years we haven't really spent a lot of time together really, because we're both so busy with life. So it's been quite nice to just take a bit of a break and spend some quality time together. And
No.
then you realize in times like this, you realize what's really important
Mm,
in your life,
mm,
and
mm.
it gives you the opportunity to step back and to appreciate the things in your life that you probably don't appreciate enough.
Yeah, I was listening to your poetry, and I was going to ask you to kind of give us some of the poetry if you have it any of it in your head, right? Because it was funny. I was obviously listening to your wife and yourself talking about the poetry. It was really funny. Yeah.
Uh,
Do you have any piece of poetry you could share with us?
uh, well, I remember. I think I know the poem you're talking about, so I think I can remember that poem. I think,
Go,
I,
go for it.
yeah, I wrote it a while ago, and it's quite unusual. So it's called Aardvark. So I think it's
Yeah, that's the one.
yeah, I try to remember it. So it's in love with an aardvark. The way he looks makes my heart spark. Let's not waste time with small talk. We can start a new species and build an ark.
Fantastic. So, what music do you listen to, Stephen? Yeah,
Oh,
are you a music listener?
yeah, yeah, I grew up with music. I think like when I was really young, like when I was a kid, my first memory of music is Stevie Wonder, and then I used to sing. I used to sing, I just called to say I love you. I used to love that song when I was a kid. Um, and yeah, I love music, but I think my taste in music is very broad. I like anything from 1990s American hip hop to modern country to dance music. So I like a bit of everything, to be honest. Well, I like anything that's a bit unusual. I'm not really into popular music, but I think popular music is mainly only there to make money. So I think, but yeah, I listen to a lot of music.
Wow, that's just fantastic. And I thank you so much for spending the last 15, 20 minutes with me. When we met last time, just before isolation, I was looking forward so much to doing some work with you,
Yeah,
as the athlete and the old guy.
yeah.
Right. But I'm sure we will get to that in the future. You are, as I said, an inspiration. I look forward to your participation in Tokyo, where I know you'll do extraordinarily well. All my love to your family. Thank you for sharing some time. Stephen Miller, my hero, inspiration, icon. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great.